One of the biggest impediments for the adoption of speech analytics technology that we've seen at Speech Analytics Group, right, aside from the actual cost of the solution, is the fact that there really aren't a lot of available use cases across different industries. When you go to your leadership team and you're really excited and you're pumped and you say, hey, I found this thing called speech analytics and I really think it can help us get more value out of our call recordings that we already have stored. The first question you're likely to get is, right, how much does it cost? And the question that follows that is likely to be, right, how much money is it going to save us as an organization, right? Or how is it going to really deliver, value to our business? And the answer to that question is that it will help bring value to your business by helping your business deliver more value to your customers, which should always be your end goal. An effective business case for speech analytics at a high level should highlight the tool's ability, number one, to extract insights from existing unstructured data assets the organization already owns. So part of the opportunity cost of not using speech analytics or even underutilizing speech analytics is failing to fully leverage an already existing asset, your customer interactions, your recorded calls. It's kind of like owning a chain of hotels, right? But you're not renting any of the rooms out. It just doesn't make sense, right? We already have the building space. And so if you think about the contact center in today's world, there are several processes and products, right? From the IVR, you have a CRM solution, quality management, complaint identification. Each one of these components, right, represents an opportunity to leverage the power of speech analytics to gain business value and ultimately optimize the customer journey. If you think about it like a solar system, right? You have a group of planets that are all orbiting this mass in the center that we know as the sun. In this case, right, the sun is your customer. Right? They should always be at the center of everything your organization does. That's who you're serving. That's how you're surviving. They're spending their hard-earned money with your organization. At Speech Analytics Group, we believe that technology solutions should revolve around the customer, right? And the purpose of that is to create a more connected enterprise through all those components. And those are all, again, laser focused on optimizing, the client experience. Let's take quality management as an example. There's a really fancy term out there, you may have heard of it. It's called analytics-enabled quality assurance, right? And analytics-enabled quality assurance is basically the process of incorporating, right, speech analytics data into your existing quality management program to gain further insight to the interactions and some of the agent behaviors. So if you think about the traditional approach to quality monitoring, and I'm sure we all know what I'm talking about here, having a group of supervisors whose sole purpose, right, is to go and randomly select interactions each week for each agent and then review those interactions. You complete an evaluation form, then you publish that evaluation form in hopes of gaining some type of insight into the client experience or how agents are handling more difficult calls. There are two things off the top of my head that kind of immediately stick out with the traditional quality monitoring process. Number one, the limitation of manpower, right? You can only hire so many people, right? There's a budget, right, for any organization's payroll. They're not gonna let you hire 1,000 people just to sit around and listen to calls all day. And the second, limitation is they can only listen to a limited number of calls during an 8-hour workday. And another limitation is the value of the interactions that are being selected and reviewed. One of the things I always tell organizations is that, right, all interactions are not created equally by any means. Just because 2 calls are 3 minutes each does not mean that, they have the same value. And I'll give you an example. If I have one call, right, we'll call it call A, where the client's saying, hey, I already called about this twice last week. It didn't get resolved. I keep getting my card declined for suspected fraud. All right, I'm out of town right now with my wife. It's ruining our trip. It's our anniversary. I've never had this problem before. I've been with you guys for 10 years. Somebody needs to handle this and get it taken care of. All right, that's one call. Versus another call where a client calls and says, "Hey, I just need to make a payment." Right, that's call B. I need to make a payment and get a confirmation number. Those calls don't hold equal weight in terms of optimizing the client experience. The call A with the agitation and the frustration and more of a negative sentiment, right, holds a lot more business value. So tying it back in, what analytics-enabled quality assurance allows organizations to do through the use of a tool like speech analytics is we can begin to pinpoint interactions, right, where the clients are frustrated or where your customer effort is too high, or some of the more advanced speech analytics solutions, they even offer features like automated workflows where you can feed interactions right into a queue, and it divides and distributes them, evenly to supervisors so they can review them without even having to search for those filters. So you don't have to really rely on your agents to pick the most valuable calls. You define that up front, and the speech analytics system does the work, or does the rest of the work. And what that allows you to do, again, is to have a more targeted listening experience in order to improve the client experience. And if you think about the first call with kind of the more negative sentiment, where the client's expressing dissatisfaction, and the second call where they're simply calling in to make a payment, right? I would always argue that call A with the agitation and the negative sentiment, right, that holds a lot more business value in terms of providing real insights, actionable insights that will actually help you, make recommendations to your business, which ultimately, again, leads to return on investment. If you think about this example in terms of return on investment, right, switching from traditional approach to quality management to analytics-enabled quality management with automation and speech analytics, right? You're literally significantly reducing, right, the amount of time it takes to find a call and make sure you're actually finding the most valuable calls that are relevant for your business. Now, it's very important, right? Again, I can't reiterate this enough, to think about your adoption use case up front during the vendor selection process if you can help it. It's going to help simplify the entire implementation process, and it's going to help your vendor align with your vision of where you want speech analytics to fit within your organization. And also, it's going to help you define your KPIs and your requirements for success up front, right? What does success look like after 6 months, after 12 months, after 18 months? And after the implementation, right, how are we going to quantify the return on investment based on the insights that we find and the changes we make to the business?